Welcome back to Eye on South Asia. And moving on to our next story, Sunil.
This is about Canada, where what they call the local regional Pravasi Bharatiya Divas was celebrated in June, and we covered it. And it was quite a bit of success, and it's coming on the discussion is coming up because the bigger Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is happening this coming weekend in Jaipur in India, which is a national event for the diaspora.
Yes.
It was started by the former Prime Minister of India, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, to bring the diaspora, the non-resident Indian community into the fold for India, whether it's governance or its sense of ownership, sense of belonging, sense of giving back, whatever you want to call it. This event was started with that note, and now the PBD that happened was, as it's called PBD, they talked about how to do business in India. There was a 2-day seminar in Toronto, in Canada, and it was called Indo-Vision. That is purpose, perseverance, and patience. And they said you have to be in for a long haul. Nothing in India happens overnight.
Right.
It's so interesting. You know, Bhavna, I was in one of the seminars in Canada, and one of the very important ministers, who is an international portfolio, was addressing business people and saying how to do business with India. Such an interesting observation he made, and I was like laughing my guts out. There was do's and don'ts, and one of them was, if you're doing business with any company in India, a yes could mean no, and a no could mean yes.
Absolutely.
And even if the top honcho, the chairman, CEO is signing something, despite that you can run into trouble. You never know what can happen at any given time.
Right.
So be prepared. That's why here it says purpose, perseverance, and patience.
And we all always have that cultural barrier which we need to cross and have understanding. And, you know, really what better place to hold this event in than Toronto? It's a multicultural hub in Canada.
Correct. And that's why I think they hosted it there. But in any case, what's going on in the last 3-4 years since Stephen Harper came in as the Prime Minister, first as a minority and now as a majority, he is looking at India very seriously. You know, especially states like Gujarat. You know, their own annual event last year was co-sponsored by Canada and Japan.
Right.
And Bombardier, which is the #1 railway manufacturing company from Canada, was the major sponsor of that event. They're all looking at from business point of view. And in fact, Minister Fast, who was the chief guest at the PBD's Business Roundtable, said the Canadian government had decided to give a 10-year multiple entry visa to Indians, which was never the case. You know, Canada is very protective. They don't want anybody to come from outside. They have enough of Indian immigrants anyway, and they have anyway immigrants there. So they're very very protective, quiet, simple, family type of society. But here, he said, because of the comprehensive economic agreement between Canada and India, which is expected to be signed in 2013, they want to start this dialogue, continue this exchange of people between the two sides.
And start that relationship, yeah.
And our own Arun Mehra, who is the member of the Indian Planning Commission, said the position of India in Canada has to be identified, and that has to be done by Indians with the assistance of the people of the diaspora. And he says it so well. There is a question of branding Canada in India, and there is a question of branding India in Canada.
Yes.
So on the same heels, if you look at what's happening in the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, the main event in India, which is happening, like I said, in this month, next week, in Jaipur, is this time Rajasthan is the sister state of this national event, international event, where top dignitaries attend. Even the emissaries from different states, they come and present the opportunities that different states are presenting to non-resident Indians who are there, the business opportunities which are there. And the minister feels that there is a 2-day pre-conference which is on social entrepreneurship and solar energy, and they are offering all the investment opportunities that are available in India, and they are looking at that many of these rich Indians who will be participating there, and some of them get felicitated through the Pravasi Samman Award, will be looking at India as an end destination for their investments.
Right. Anything sustainable with new technology and all that stuff is what they're going after. So,
Noda, who is the current Prime Minister, I say that with the stress because he is the 6th Prime Minister in 7 years.
wow.
Despite that, I'll tell you one thing I like about Japan is they have been constantly going on, changing and changing. You can't have more than 6 Prime Ministers in 7 years. But the continuity of governance, the country's handling of the disaster that took place, the nuclear disaster, the way they govern, the way the country continues to grow and grow and grow is phenomenal.
Right. It seems like a very seamless transition amongst the leadership, and they have a very solid ground that they're standing on.
And he was in India for a one-day trip, and he pointed out very correctly. He said, despite such a good relationship between the two countries and such a trust that we have with each other, the total trade between India and Japan is $25 billion. Actually, $15 billion, and he expects it to grow to $25 billion, which is Trump change, which is nothing considering what India has to offer to Japan,
Yes.
and which is the one of the largest economies in the world and in Asia, of course, when it comes to even competing with India. He feels that there is a lot that can be done. He is also depending upon the middle class, and he feels that middle class has a lot to offer to grow this economic pie between the India and Japan.
Right.
Because the technological products, because of the
manufacturing
sector. And Japan is working with India. One of the most ambitious project that Japan is doing is the corridor between New Delhi and Bombay. Now you're tying up the two most important cities in the country. This is about 1,500 kilometer stretch for a major highway that is being built by Japan in collaboration with Japan, and that will automatically, what happens when you build a road from one city to another city of the importance that New Delhi, the India's capital, and Bombay, which is the business capital of India, when they connect, what comes around the highway is new cities, new communities, new businesses, and new opportunities. I think it's a wonderful thing, and the corridor, which is expected to have 24 new cities, and India's Trade Minister Anand Sharma said the overall total investment will be in the range of about $100 billion. I think it is a great start. In fact, I believe that Japan, which is essentially had a restriction to any kind of exports in the nuclear field, by the time Noda left on December 27, Japan's Security Council relaxed a decades-old arms export ban, and India happens to be one of the top weapons importer last year. So it's a very well timed, These political trips are very well timed. There is something behind or in front of it.
Yes.
You just need to keep your eyes open.
There's a huge opportunity with both of these Asian countries coming together, definitely.
On that note, what is coming out, and again it's a tall claim, Bhavna, they keep on talking that there is about 300,000 Indians who are expected to return.
Yes.
Now this number is something I'm sure you won't believe it. Not many people are believing it. It's coming from a Kelly survey, and they think that 300,000 Indians will return to India. Of course, because India is offering great economic opportunities, great personal growth, great atmosphere, but it is a tall claim. I personally think this number is too high. Yes, I can understand that people are looking at the opportunities because of the fast-growing economy in India, especially compared to the other developed markets. Earlier it was the developing nations were going into developed economies, but it seems to be now the reverse. The developed economies are kind of
getting stagnant. Exactly.
And the developing economies like India are offering more opportunities. So obviously the people who have immigrated to other countries will be returning, but to bring 300,000 out of 30 million is a tall claim.
Yeah, and this reverse migration, as they're calling it, has some issues with it because a lot of times, when Indians want to come back to India, they face reverse cultural shock and difficulty in adjusting. That's a very
I can
very
think
much
of a
reality.
bicontinental presence.
Yes.
That they may be keeping both ends, businesses on both ends and homes on both ends, because their families are anchored at the two ends. But to go permanently back into India for such high number, I think it's a very, very tall claim. But it's interesting to see how India is repositioning itself in the global economy.
Right.
IT companies like Infosys, Tata Consulting are really hurting. On the same note, I am talking about it because these companies would find opportunities to use what is called L1 visa to send their professionals to countries like America, which is the #1 destination for the IT companies. Most of their business is with US. And I think it has to do with there was a leak from one of the employees from TCS who said, or probably Infosys, who said that he was actually coming to US to work, but on a B1 business visa, and you're not allowed to come here and work.
Right. They said that they were abusing the short-term work permits under this B1 visa, and to do software code writing. So it doesn't seem to be matching up with the correct visa that's
And they
needed.
say that this year, 2011, India, the number of visas India got is 28% lower, which is about 26,000, as against the world where it grew by 15%. So I think this is a serious thing, and Indian government is taking it up seriously with the American government on the visa issue. So they need to relook at it.
Right, and it also affects the Indians here in the U.S. They're a competitive advantage when projects are being sent to the U.K., for example. So
yeah, but honestly, they'll have to depend on India's IT professionals who are very, very competent and very magnetic in their performance. On the political front,
we're going to have to hold that thought right there, but we're going to take a short break, and we have a very interesting and fun segment for you guys right after the break. Stay tuned.